Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Hey, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
Here we are together again, right? In one room. Again, if you didn't see on YouTube our last episode or listen to our last episode, you don't know that we are now recording in one room whenever possible.
Yeah.
Again, we had some ill-conceived notion that we lived further apart than we did. I don't know.
Same state, but the state is
long.
Like in traffic. We live in Jersey.
You know what? It's not as long as California. So I don't know what we were thinking.
I don't know what we're thinking.
But
maybe we're just lazy.
We are. I don't know. You know what happened? We used to, in the beginning of this recording this pandemic, it was audio only because it was a podcast in the beginning of recording this podcast, not this pandemic. And then the pandemic happened and we realized, oh my gosh, we could be on Zoom together. So then we embraced that.
And plus I wanted to see faces because of the pandemic, and it was nice to see your face.
And we didn't have the choice of being together because we were in the middle of the pandemic and it was ill-advised. So then we did not take the next leap until now about actually making sure we're in one room together. But here we are. And here's where we hope to remain. We shall see. We promise you absolutely nothing. But we're going to try our hardest.
Cindy and Alison fashion.
Yeah.
Promise nothing, but we'll try really hard.
We will try.
We are good at trying.
I think we're good at trying, and for today's episode, we're not here to talk only about us being together, though we're thrilled about it again.
We could talk a good 20 minutes about it because that's what we do.
We could talk 20 minutes about us being together, but we won't make you listen to that.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
We do. I don't know, but whatever. Anyway.
I don't know.
You never know.
We are here, though, to talk about the multiple intelligences, which we know about from Howard Gardner, a theorist. Gardner taught us that people have different intelligences. And in the podcast in the past, we've talked about how we as teachers and parents and people who are raising young children tend to lean into activities that relate to our most comfortable abilities, which are our intelligences. And Howard Gardner said, different people have different intelligences, and we can lean into those intelligences as a way to drag along other learning or, bring along other learning, and that we need to teach individuals in the way they need to be taught. And if we understand people's intelligences, if you understand the intelligences of the children in front of you, are they more apt to be intelligent, for example, in socialization, in knowing themselves, in math or language and literacy, or, what skills? There are Gardner's intelligences. You can look it up. And I believe there's something on our website about it. If I know the child's intelligence and where their intellect tends to lean, then I can use that to teach, right?
Right.
What we have not done in the past is point out to you a tool where you can learn about your own intelligences that Alison and I both used to see how that would turn out. And it was super interesting. It was super interesting.
Yeah.
And it's an intelligence inventory. We're going to link it on our website. By the time you get this episode, it will be there. So look for the multiple intelligence inventory. And you take like this pretty short quiz.
Yeah. And it's easy. It's like, are you most like this or least like this? It's just like statements. It's like, do you think of the world mathematically? Nope.
Not at all.
If you do, you would put yes, like I do. Or you could also put like maybe sometimes or whatever, and it'll like calculate what your intelligence is in each category, I guess. Or like the percentage or something, which was like,
it was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
And because we're talking about this because if you understand your own intelligences, then you will better understand why you do what you do with young children and even how to help them better. So we really want to encourage you to go and take this inventory that was recommended to me from some professional development that I've done. So, but it's, a public website, go out there and use it. Here's what I learned, which some of it I could have predicted and some was surprising. In my top 3, it'll show you your top 3 intelligences and then a list of the ones that were not in the top 3.
Yeah.
So in my top 3 intelligences, number 1 for me was self, understanding myself, which by the way took years of work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised I didn't score higher on that because of how much therapy and work I've done on myself.
Oh, I guess more is needed.
Clearly more
Is needed.
yes.
So, self came up number 1 for me, and then social, which surprised me because I'm an introverted person.
Yes.
I don't consider myself to really be social like that. So that to me was surprising. So number 1 for me was self. Number 2 was social. Number 3 was language. Again, not surprising. I speak for a living. I write.
Wrote a book.
I wrote a book. It's not,
Makes sense.
not shocking.
Yeah.
What that would tell someone who's teaching me, though, is that the way to get me to learn things is probably through journaling, storytelling.
Yeah.
Right? That's how to get me to learn. Coming at me with the things that I scored lower in, like nature, that wasn't me. Don't bring me nature. What else was it me? Math? Music. There were statements on this inventory like about how you music and like, do you naturally they see things as tempo? And I'm like, not at all. So music was low for me. But again, that shows me. So if, like, let's say someone with my scores was in my class or was my child, music may be fun and all, but it's not necessarily teaching me. That's not an area of my intelligence. I might enjoy it. And I'm going to share this with you. Something that my husband, who to this day takes guitar lessons, cannot understand. And my children kind of make fun of me for, I don't need any music at all. I'm good without music. I don't put it on the background at home. I don't put it on in the car. I'm more apt to listen to stories like podcasts. So it makes complete sense to me that music scored as low as it did. Music is enjoyable. It's not that I don't appreciate music, but if it's not there, I'm okay too. And as a child, while I might have enjoyed singing along with other people, I didn't probably learn a lot from it. I learned more from the storytelling and the reading and the writing. Yeah. I also was super interested that one of the recommendations for me when I looked further into my scores was journaling, because that's something I'm always seeking, as Alison knows, I'm always seeking to journal. So
journal. Yeah. But I'll go through phases of it. I'll go like,
me
do
too,
it for a while and then not do it for a while. But that was one of my tips too, was to journal more, because you'll learn more about yourself, which I need to learn more about myself.
So what were your scores?
My top score was science, nature, big surprise.
Not surprising.
It was the highest score.
Didn't even make my scores.
I think the highest score you can get is a 5. And I think I scored a 4.97 or something like that, like some ridiculously high number in nature. That is not surprising at all. What was surprising was my second one was language, which I didn't really think that was too much as a surprise either, since I do journal and do stuff and I love reading books. I am constantly reading a book. The one that surprised me was that I scored 3rd in social. And if you know me, look at this face. If you know me, I am not social. Like the fact that I'm in the same room with Cindy right now is like a testament to like, wow, like a lot of anxiety that happened this morning driving here. But like, and I know her, she's like my sister. So like, I just, I love that. I have so much social anxiety, and I've talked about it on this podcast. I am an introverted person. It takes a lot of energy for me to be social, but I can be very, like, if I'm with my friends, happy when I'm with them, but getting there is a struggle. And then afterwards I need to be home. It's like, I'm just introverted. But I think like to be a teacher, you kind of have to be social. Like I'm talking to children and other teachers all day long. So I guess it kind of made sense there. I also scored low on music, even though I do listen to music in the car, unlike this one, but like, but what that taught me was it made so much sense to me why I'm not one to really teach through music at all.
Oh, me either. And you know what never worked for me when I was a learner? You know how some people will put facts to music to remember it?
Yes.
I never did that. That never worked for me.
Yeah, it never worked for me either. And I also like never do the whole, everybody's like, oh, sing this song. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't want to sing the song or the finger plays or any of that stuff because I'm not a musical person, but that's kind of wrong because there might be musical children in my class. So I think like you kind of sometimes have to like, yeah, you're not musical. So maybe push through that a little bit to get to the children and students who are musical. I also scored really, really incredibly low in math, but also not a surprise.
Me too, not a surprise.
But I forget what the other one was, self music, all that stuff. But like for me, it was more like I don't have children of my own. So I was like, how does that affect my teaching? Clearly, I could teach science like brilliantly. I always could. That was just my thing. And I teach a lot through the science. Like I could teach the language and the math through the science. But what if there's a kid in my class that's not science driven? So like it's hard to kind of be yourself, but then also make sure everybody else is getting what they need to get.
Yeah, I think we have to, for me, maybe it's recognizing that though those songs don't work for me, they work for other people.
They might work for other people. Yeah.
And doing things, thinking about teaching through nature maybe doesn't work as much for me as it does somebody else. And I have to realize that that's not, I am not everyone. We talked in the last episode about empathy and the stages that you go through to understand that other people have different needs and feelings. And so that you can help them. Yeah. Maybe that's part of our growth. All of us here, our preschool peeps and us, it's part of our growth to realize that those needs extend beyond emotional needs, but also other people have other needs based on their intelligences that we have to find a way to meet, even though it may be uncomfortable for me. Right.
But I also think like we shouldn't I can't not be me. Right. And I'm a very nature scientific person. However, maybe my teacher aide is a musical person. So let that person be the one that sings the songs during the day. Or maybe another teacher could come in and help you do lessons through music if they're a musical person. But that takes knowing what their intelligence is too, So, but if you do know that, like, I know I'm not a musical or math person. So like, maybe I could find somebody to help me do that because again, I can't be everything.
You know what that reminds me of? When I ran an early childhood program, I used to bring in science people. I brought in, there was a company, I don't know if they still exist. If they do, good for you after the pandemic, but I brought in things like Mad Science and they would come in and do it. Does it still exist? They would come in and do experiments. I also brought in like the reptile person.
Those are my favorite days of the year.
I knew to bring them in.
I knew
it was in because I myself was not bringing stuff in, right?
Yeah.
So something in me, I guess, said, bring these people. I also brought musical people. Now that I think about it, I also brought music people and athletic people. So maybe even without realizing it, I did know that this wasn't me or maybe many members of my staff. So I needed to bring in, I didn't bring in things we were able to do. I brought in things like science and music and performers, and I did bring them in steadily.
You're just doing it differently.
You're right.
Because it's almost unfair to ask like everybody to be everything, right? It's not fair to ask me as a teacher to be everything, but then at the same time, we kind of have to be too. Like it's so hard.
But then you
want me to be a musician. I'm not.
You're not. But then there are budget considerations, right? Bringing those people in is not inexpensive. It wasn't then, and it certainly isn't now. So the question is, how do we ensure that we can bring these things in? And I'm going to suggest that there's a lot of grants out there. You can check and see if there are grants that will enable you to pay for that sort of thing. Also fundraising, right? Fundraising is very important. I've worked with programs. It's super interesting. I've worked with programs where they're like, we don't fundraise. And I'm like, then you are really missing out.
You are missing out. Like I've worked at schools that fundraised new playgrounds, and it's amazing how much you can raise if you really try, because especially like parents in the school are willing to donate if they know where it's going. Like if you just say, oh, we're going to fundraise, but we don't really have a plan. But if you sit there and be like, no, we need $10,000 for a new playground or whatever it is, they'll be like, okay, here's $10 and it adds up over time. Right. But if you sit there and say, hey, we want more music programs, especially with some of these things like in public schools are cutting,
Yeah.
Music and art and things like that. Like if you can fundraise for that stuff, go for it. If you have a good PTA in your district, if you're in a district,
You can have a parent association in a private program too. I used to have one where in the program that I ran,
they
used to do
they used to
fundraising.
do the fundraising.
Yeah.
And if you can get in that and sit there and say, hey, I would like more funds for music or more funds for science, then let them run the fundraising.
There may be people listening though, where the families can't do that or
Correct.
can't participate in these
Right.
fundraisers. There are websites, depending on what sort of program you work for. There are donation websites that you can sign. You can sign your
Like
class
donors,
up for.
Donors Choose.
Donors Choose is one of them. And yeah,
there's all sorts of them.
do lots of research, people. Get on there and find out, because these donation websites have certain requirements. You have to be a certain type of program or take certain populations of children, but really do a lot of research, because there are ways for people to donate who are not the families.
Yes.
If you are in an area like ours, one of the more popular fundraisers that I ever did was when we partnered with restaurants. And if people go and just ate dinner out, which they sometimes did anyway, then a portion of those proceeds went to us.
Yeah.
But you may be listening from a place where that's not possible for the families to go out and eat out, and especially these days with money, what it is. So do a lot of research and see how you can raise funds, because you want to bring in the people who have the intelligences that you don't. Also, crowdsource on your staff. If I was on the same staff with Alison and I knew she was better at like science, why would I not go to her and say, would you come to my class sometimes and do science with them? We tend to go into these classrooms as if they're a competition with each other. We're not in competition. Seek each other's expertise.
Because I'm one that I know I'm good at science, and I know a lot of people are not, and for a woman to be like really into science is like another thing, right? So like I tell the teachers, like at every single staff meeting I'm at, they're probably like, shut up, Allison, at this point, that like if they need help with science, I'm more than willing to go to their classroom even during my prep time and help them with any lessons that they need, or teaching the lesson myself because I know how to teach it, right? Many people do not take me up on it, and I think it's because they think like, oh, but if I do that, then it's going to say I'm not good enough. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just,
it's not a competition.
It's not a competition. It's me just trying to help. And it's spreading the wealth, I think, like a little bit, like it's me being like, hey, you're not good at science, but I am, and I enjoy it. So I'm more than happy to do it. So like, just listen, take people up on it.
Just seek each other's expertise. And you should really sit in staff meetings and sort of say, who plays a musical instrument that you can transport here?
That'd be awesome.
Right?
Yes.
Who plays a musical instrument? Who has a particular subject area or topic that they love to dive into with children? Who likes what kinds of experiments or activities? You should almost do not only an intelligences inventory about yourself, but have your whole staff do it.
Because what I feel is happening, at least at the school I'm at now, is they'll do that. They'll crowdsource to the parents, like, hey,
that's good too.
Who knows all about this topic? But they're not actually going to the other staff members and saying, hey, who all knows about this topic? Like if you're learning about music, or if you're learning about a certain topic, you immediately are like, hey, I know so-and-so owns a bakery and we're learning about cooking things or whatever. But not doing it to the staff.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because it's like a competition when it comes to staff, or they're just trying to get more parents involved, but like, why not crowdsource everyone?
Everyone. All right. So I think where I'm landing in this episode is give everybody you work with the intelligences inventory and then start crowdsourcing each other.
Yes. And share it at a staff meeting. It would be such a fun staff meeting.
It would.
It really would.
I think I'm going to recommend it to some of the clients I work with.
I think that'd be amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we've solved our own issues.
There you go. As we typically do on here.
But people tolerate it and they tell me they enjoy it. So there you go.
So hey, maybe they get something out of it. We're problem solving for them.
Okay. Listen, it took us more than 5 years to problem solve the being in one room. So I'm not sure how much we're problem solving for anybody. I don't know. Here we are.
Eventually.
Yeah. Please let your friends, coworkers, the Pew families, neighbors. Let everyone know that it's sort of a refresh of this podcast, being able to do it all in one room. So please come and tell people to come and listen, and go to YouTube to see us together in one frame, kind of like this. There you go.
See, that was nice.
Yeah. So come to YouTube, take a look at us, click on subscribe. You never have to come back to YouTube again. We just really no, that's not true. We need we need watchers too.
You should, because
yeah.
We look great.
Okay, that's it. We're done with this episode.
I only say that because Cindy's got like all sorts of really good computer stuff, and not the tech person. I'm surprised that wasn't on the intelligences thing. That technology, it's not my thing.
I guess it was not. No, because it wasn't one. Was it one of Gardner's intelligences? No.
Okay, but that's something to discuss though, because technology is now like an intelligence. There's some people who are just naturally good at that stuff. We are not those people, but she's got better equipment than I do.
So here we are. We're in my place.
She always looks blurry and stuff, and she always looks fab. So
now we're both fab.
Look fab.
And we're going to encourage you all to come back and let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of us together. Go to helppreschoolteachers.com.
How preschool teachers
do it. Oh my gosh, I came in. Howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, and go to the comment contact form and let us know, or go to Facebook and find How Preschool Teachers Do It page and let us know there. And we hope to see you again and be together again really soon.
Bye.
Bye, peeps.